Well, hi there. Welcome to part 2 of using the using statement. And in part 1, we talked about the using statement. We set up our class that is implementing the iDisposable interface. And here's our public void dispose method to implement that interface. But we never actually used the using statement. So here we go. So what we're going to do here is I want to create within the button click event here. So this is one single method right here, right? It just happens to be handling an event. But we're going to create a new instance of a car, okay? And so I'm going to call car, and we'll create an instance of a car class, and the variable will be CC. So we're creating an object CC of type car. That's another way to say that. And it's equal to a new instance of car, and we're going to pass it. It's looking for a string. We'll just pass it forward, okay? So we're doing something with a new forward, okay? Now, that is the way I would normally go about creating that, okay? But I want to use the using keyword. So I'm going to go back here to the start. I'm going to use using, and I'm going to pass it car, and I'm going to put this in, and I'm not going to terminate this with a semicolon. This is going to be within this particular block of code in the using block. All right, so I'm going to create a new instance of a type car called CC, and I'm going to pass it this string forward that will go into the constructor down here and set the name. And then I'm going to give myself a message box so that we can see when this object gets created. And we will just call, let's see, CC object name was created. Now, here is what's hopefully going to happen if I've coded this correctly. When I click on the button on my form, all right, the button handler is going to run. It is going to create a new instance of the car class called CC. Right here's the car class. It's going to pass the constructor forward. It'll go into the object name, and it's going to tell me that the message box is going to pop up, and it's going to tell me that that object name, or that object with that object name was created. And I will see that a forward object, CC object name forward, was created. Then it will immediately complete the process, and as soon as I click that message box, I will then be out of this particular method, and it will automatically call dispose, and I'll see a message box pop up saying dispose was called. Okay, so let's see if I've got it right here. I'll start this application. I will click the button, and it says forward was created. Now, as soon as I click on the OK button here, we're going to complete this method, and it's going to jump out, and the using statement should call my dispose method on that object. Sure enough, dispose was called, and it did call it. Okay, so let's look at the code one more time. When I created the object, notice right here in my, in my using block, my using statement, I created the car object, and it calls the message box. As soon as I clear that message box, I leave the method here, and that causes the using statement to fire the dispose method that's on the object that I created that's implementing iDisposable, and that means there has to be a dispose method there, and so it calls that, and it happens. Okay, so one more time, real quickly, build this, play with it. You will see exactly, get your head wrapped around exactly what the using statement does. Look for situations to use this. This is a strong Microsoft recommendation. This takes the consumer of your particular class, your particular type, out of the question whether they call dispose or not. When they're done with the object, dispose is going to get called in this situation every time. So that's a quick look at the using statement, or as I entitled the video, using the using statement.